Okay, to start off with, is the chat enabled? Can I see what the students type, if at all? I guess it is okay.
Yeah,
So,
chat is enabled.
just for me to understand, yeah, just for me to understand, which year do you belong to? Can you just type in the chat? I mean, the students can just type in the chat saying which year you belong to. Great. Anchal Jain, wasn't she the one who won? So she's given the first answer. Great. A lot of first years, few second years. Um, uh, the next question: do you know about GRS Fantasy Park? I mean, have you heard about GRS Fantasy Park before? You can just type a yes or a no. Great. So there are a lot of yeses. If there's any no's, you can type no as well. Okay, great. So you can stop answering that. The next question I have is: have you been to GRS before? For that, you can just type number of years before that you've been. Like for example, 5, 4, 3, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Great. 2 years ago, 3, 6 years ago, 3 years ago, couple of months ago, 2 months. Great. Okay, so that's just for me to understand, because we've done phenomenal amount of change in the last 3, 4 years. So if somebody has visited GRS, let's say 6 years ago versus let's say a year or 2 year ago, then you would have seen changes in the way in which we've done things. Um, I really, as I said, I think I have the best job in the world because I get to wake up every day and do something that I love. I'm not saying that my work is easy or that it's very simple, but then I love the challenge of being able to run an amusement park. Running an amusement park is like running a city, right? So everything that all the problems that a city faces, an amusement park also faces, and so all those problems are there. I have a generic question for all the students. What is the purpose of GRS? Why do you think GRS exists? For example, Cresta College exists because it wants to create great citizens, right? Great future citizens. Let's say a automobile company exists because they want to create cars. So why does GRS exist? Because we don't create anything, fun and enjoyment. Any other answers? There's no wrong answer, so you can create memories. Great. Aarti Mehta says create memories. Family fun. Tarun says great. Any other answers? To let people come and have fun and relax. Great. Yes. Good picnic. Refreshment. Spend a time with reasonable cost. Very specific. I think Mr. Professor Raghavendra means spend a good time with reasonable cost, not spend a time with reasonable cost. I hope that's what he means. Okay, great. So yeah, if I have to kind of squash all of the points that you all have said, it's basically GRS is in the business of happiness. Right? So this is something that we understood, because we don't get only kids, we don't get only parents, we have the entire family coming in. We've got grandparents coming in, we've got different people coming in. So we are in the business of happiness. Now, what I mean by this, happiness is different to different people. For example, happiness to the youth is excitement. To the parents is to ensure that their kids are safe and they're having fun and they themselves are having fun. To the grandparents is to see the laughter on the kids' face. So we are in the business of happiness. And that is what we tell every person who joins the organization. At the end of the day, if any customer leaves our park unhappy, then what is the whole point of us existing? Right? And so from the directors down to the housekeeping guy, everybody's job at the end of the day is to ensure that all of the customers leave happy. If there is even one customer who's left unhappy, then it's not a then I guess we have not done our job, right? A lot of what I do is centered around entrepreneurship, and has been in the direction of trying to create businesses, new businesses, or think about existing businesses like startup and making them grow. So a lot of things that I talk today are going to be centered around this. I will tell you a few stories. I will show you some videos and photos, like behind the scenes videos and photos. I think so you can sit back and enjoy. Though, as I told you, if you've got any specific questions about GRS that you would want to ask me, then keep them ready. It doesn't have to be about what I speak, but in general. So let's start off with a story. This is a story that one of my, one of our mentors shared with us long back, almost 10 years back. But this is a story that I really enjoy. Do you want to listen to the story? If it's a yes, can you type a yes? I just want, because of Zoom, can't understand if everybody is there, or am I audible or not. So great. So let's start off with the story. A young guy from India moves to the US. Great. So a young guy from India moves to the US. He goes to a big departmental store, and he goes to the manager there and he says, "Sir, can I get a job?" The manager looks at him and he says, "Okay, so do you have any past experience, or do you have like a resume or something?" He says, "No, sir, I don't have, but I've had a little bit of sales experience in India." So he says, "Okay, great. You come and join tomorrow, and maybe at the end of the day, I will come and have a talk with you." The first day on the job was rough, but he got through it. And once the store was locked, the manager came up to him and he said, "So, how was your day? How many sales did you have?" And the kid says, "Oh, I had one sale, sir." The manager is shocked. He says, I thought I'll trust in you and I'll give you this job. And most of our other people get 20, 30 customers a day. And you said you've got one customer. This is not at all acceptable. So what is the total sale amount?" So he says it was some $100,123 or something like that. The manager is shocked. He says, 100,123. There's nothing in my store uh, you know, um, which is of so much amount. How is that even possible? So what did you do? Recount to me what you did. So he says, "Sir, so this guy came. He wanted a small fishing hook. So I gave him a small fishing hook. Then I gave him a medium fishing hook. Then I sold him a large fishing hook. Then, while I was talking to him, he realized that his fishing rod was old. So I took him to the fishing rod section and I sold him a fishing rod." So as I spoke to him further, I asked him where he is going fishing, and he told that he's going up the stream. And I told him that at this time of the year, the waters are going to be very choppy, and which boat he had. He had a small dinghy. So I took him to the boat section and sold him a bigger boat, telling him that it's not safe, and that was the right choice for him. Then I asked him which car he had. He said he had a Honda Civic. I said, "Oh, come on, the Honda Civic can't pull this one, and it's gotten old. So why don't you buy a 4x4?" And incidentally, the person was in the mood, so I took him to the car section and I sold him a 4x4 car. The manager is like shocked. So guy came in to buy a fishing hook, and you sold him a car. So he says, "No, sir. The guy came in saying he wanted to buy a loaf of bread because his wife was not in town." And I said, "If your wife's not in town, why don't you go shipping? Sorry, why don't you go fishing?" So this story kind of encompasses all that is fun about entrepreneurship and jugaad and innovation. It is about how do you create value where there is none. Right? How do you create something out of nothing? Everything that you see, every place that you go to, at some point was an idea, and only with a lot of sweat, toil, tears, blood, did it happen successfully. So, did you enjoy that story? If it is a yes, can you type a yes? Great. So that was a fun story. I will connect to it as we go forward into what I'm going to say. The next is about the GRS Snowpark. So The GRS Snowpark took us about 9 months to construct. That was one of the fastest constructions. I mean, according to all the people that I spoke to who've been in the industry, they said that it's one of the fastest construction that has happened. So the amount of effort that went into doing it beforehand, before construction started, was tremendous. From so what happens is you come up with the idea saying, okay, let's do something new. What shall we do? How shall we do it? And then I've always wanted to do a snow park, because I'd been to Dubai and I'd taken a look at it there, and then I said, okay, let's of course not on the scale of what Dubai does, but what's viable in India and Mysore, let's try and do it here. So then the question comes, uh, firstly, you have to convince yourself that, great, this is a good idea, this will work out. Because it's a lot of money involved, right? So you kind of have to convince yourself saying that this will work. At this point, some level of stupidity is necessary, because if you ask an accountant, he will never start a business, because in accounts, 1 plus 1 is 2. Whereas in business, a businessman and an entrepreneur thinks 1 plus 1 is 3 or 4 or 5, because he can understand the compounding returns that can be there in the long run. So that's when the snowpark started. And then the time came of putting the team together, because, of course, you understand that your job as an entrepreneur is not to do everything. You can't do it as well. You need to have the right technology guys in place. So very exciting times. Get the right architect, get the right consultants, get the right refrigeration guys. Try and envision how this can fit into what we are trying to do, and try and have an overall look at this. So once that was done, then we had to identify the place. Uh, Scouted a lot of places, then within GRS outside, then did up a business plan in understanding which is the right place to do it. And then finally we landed upon, the idea was that since GRS Snowpark would be a separate entity, I wanted anybody going on the ring road to be able to see the building, the GRS Snowpark building. And I wanted them to understand that the GRS Snowpark is a separate entity. That is how, if any of you remember and have been in GRS long back, there used to be a place called as the amphitheater. Now, when we started off, that place never looked like it could hold the snow park. But 500 trucks of soil being removed later, that was the, now when you look at it, it looks like a no-brainer, right? And so that's one of the points. But there have been so many points at each point where you have to kind of back yourself. Then the next point comes, how do you brand the thing that you're trying to do? Because today branding is extremely important. How do you define the brand language? How do you do the logo? So you try and work with the best people and try and do that. Then after coming up with the design, then you go about construction, and then finally the best part is welcoming customers into the park. It's very unfortunate today that I opened the snow park in April of 2019. April of 2020, we had to shut down the snow park because of the pandemic, and we took a decision saying that we would switch off the system, because the snow park is at minus 10 degrees centigrade. And so that temperature, like you don't switch off your refrigerator at night, right? So this is like a very large refrigerator. And so there is no question of turning it off. Once you switch it on, then it's on forever. In the history of a snow park, you don't want to see times when you have to switch it off. But unfortunately, we've had to switch it off 2 times now. And so currently the snow park is also switched off at this time. But the point that I want to make is, there is greatness at the end of confusion. At each point along this process, there is a lot of confusion. So whenever you're starting something new, when you are getting into a new course, when I assume first year, so a lot of you are starting in the college new, so there will be a lot of confusion. But learn to accept this confusion and make this confusion a part of you, because when there is confusion, then you can kind of be sure that, because there is confusion, that means your mind is working, and since your mind's working, that you're moving towards being better and greater. So I have kind of accepted it along the way, that if I am confused, then I think I'm doing something right. Lastly, I think the pandemic hit us like it hit anybody else, right? So we were the first industry to close down and the last to open. We closed in, we voluntarily closed March 14th of 2009, 20, I think. 20, we closed down. Before the government had ordered, we closed down. We'd expected it to be for a week or 10 days or whatever, but we said, okay, we have 400, 500 employees, so we'll take care of them, and we closed down. Unfortunately, we opened back up in October or November of 2020, which is we were closed for 9 months. And I had broken my head since I was the chairman of Southern Region of IRP. I had the opportunity to meet the chief minister twice, put forth the point of the industry, tell him saying how businesses are closing down, and then banks are hounding them, and at the end of all of this, if at all there is no lifeline, then there is no way that businesses will come back up, and it will be a huge setback to Karnataka tourism and Karnataka industry. So while all of this was happening, there was of course so much negativity, because you're like when, for me, work is my purpose, right? I work day in and day out. So when work's not there, then what do you do? uh, at about that time, the thought started coming into my head that, okay, let's start, as an entrepreneur, let's start thinking something innovative. Let's start doing some jugaad. Let's try and see how we can do something positive, right? The choice at that time was, you either stay and try and fight it out, or you kind of see how to give up and things like that. And I also understood that post COVID, meaning once we were allowed to open, also business would not be back to the pre pandemic days. The 1 rupee earned today is probably worth 100 times that, right? Because it's very difficult to earn money at this time. So then, me and my team, we looked at what were our strengths as an organization, what were our strengths, and then we came up with various initiatives that we tried to implement. So I'll share my screen now. There is a small PPT that I would like to share on what kind of work that we've done. Give me a second. Um, 1 second. I'm not able to.
No, your screen is
Am
visible.
I audible, and is my screen visible?
Yeah, your audible screen is also visible. Yeah, all good.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. You're audible, and yeah, we can see your presentation also.
Was I audible?
Yeah, Ashwin sir, you are audible. We are able to hear you, and we could see your presentation also. So I guess you have to again reshare your presentation.
Was I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay.
You're audible. You're audible.
Okay. While I was sharing the screen, also, was I audible?
Yeah, you were audible at that time also.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just could not. I did not see anybody reply.
No.
Okay. So one of the points was that at GRS, if you've seen, there is a lot of greenery, right? And so what had happened was that, in fact, when the park had started, there were only 2 trees on the entire 30-acre plot, but the hundreds of trees were planted over time, and then plants were planted. So we said, and we had a fairly large garden team as well. So we have a landscaping team of about 20 people. So then I said, okay, why don't we try and create something out of this? So we got in touch with various nurseries in Mysore who used to retail, and we said, okay, can we maybe create plants for you, because we had all the mother plants, and they readily welcomed it. And then we started developing various plants. For example, the center one is a pendanas, and the right side is I don't remember. The left side is yeah, that's the national tree of uh, Hawaii. Right. So we developed all these plants, and we were able to sell them. And these were all, we selected plants which were rare and which were not common. So that we could kind of make a buck out of there. So that's something that we did, and we continue to do that today as well. Even um post opening up, we continue to do that. And now again we are closed. At about that time, there was a need for us to purchase face shields. So, and we have few, as I told you, it's like running a city. So we've got few tailors as well, and we've got a lot of staff, and we've got a lot of guys who do props and things like that. So we said, okay, so can we make face shields in house? And so then the team started. We'd put a conveyor sort of a system where the team would sit, and then they would start manufacturing it. uh, we made various face shields, and then these face shields were used at the park, and there have been instances where we've given it to other people as well. So that's something that we did. Another thing that we did was, we said, okay, we've got restaurants, we've got large areas, so can we try and utilize this? So we were one of the first in India who started a drive-in restaurant at an amusement park. Post that, there were a lot of other people also who did this. So we had opened a bamboo restaurant, which was right besides the snow park. So evenings we used to have vehicles who would used to come and park and have food there. So multiple teams started getting involved, even though the water park and the snow park and the other places were not open. Another thing that we did was, we had tie-ups with Swiggy and Zomato as well at this time. So if you see, we and I used to say that we had. I'm for sure that we had much stronger protocols everywhere compared to anybody else, any other restaurant in the city. So that's these were some things that we did. We also saw that we have a very strong technical team, uh, because we manage rides. There's a lot of engineering involved in it. So I said, okay, can we try and create something out of this? Can we? And another thing is, we've got a lot of kids, right? So I think during the introduction video, they said we get 1.5 lakh students. In fact, last year we had 2.5 lakh students. That is in 2019, when the entire amusement industry shrank, we grew by 70%. So we had 2.5 lakh students and an overall entry of about 6 lakh people in 2019-20. So we said, okay, let's do some edutainment. So we did something called as GRS Science-a-thon. We had multiple sessions. For example, our EHS engineer handled vermicomposting at home. Then we had building a catapult. Basically, how do you build a ride, at least a demo ride, based on what we have at home? And then we did build your own face shield as well. Then we started a program called Are You a GRS Science Super Kid? That's something that we started at that time. Mm, so I just want to play this video, but I'm not sure if the audio will be. Is it audible?
Yeah, it's audible.
Yeah. So that was one of the videos from the sessions that we conducted. Just give me a second. There are a couple of behind the scenes videos that I want to share with you guys. So this is when the so this is where the amphitheater of the park used to be, the amphitheater of GRS, and this is where we had to remove 500 trucks of soil. And post that, this is the construction of the snow park. My IT team has put together this time-lapse video. I don't think we've shared this anywhere, and so please enjoy. It's just 42 seconds, but it's 9 months of effort shrunk into 42 seconds. So that was 9 months shrunk into 42 seconds. At the end of it, we had a snow park. Looks very simple when you watch this video. Was the video audible? Was the video visible?
Yes, yes, sir.
Great, great. Okay. Lastly, so in 2019, so the pandemic came in in the month of March of 2019, 2020, right? So in the year of 2020 was the year when we had planned the highest number of attractions at GRS. In terms of thinking, in terms of execution, there were 4 projects which were supposed to go live in March of 2020. It's very unfortunate that many of these the customer has not enjoyed it completely, or that we have not been able to uh, give it the respect it deserves. One of them was petting zoo. We set up a petting. We saw that we used to get a lot of kids, and we started getting a lot of kids from Bangalore and more urban places who've not had interactions with animals. Right. So we set up a petting zoo where we have um, American pygmy goats. Right. So these are goats which are just 1.5 feet fully grown. They are 1.5 feet tall, and they're very friendly and very adorable. So we have an opportunity where the kids can feed these goats and can interact with them. What has happened is during the pandemic and during the lockdown, our goats have given birth to 2 more kids as well. So that's something that has happened. Apart from this, we set up a new attraction called as augmented reality attraction. This was also open in April of 2020. Of course, during the lockdown, not April, maybe June of 2020, and so that is for the first time in India. Apart from that, we opened the Up Down Museum. This is again for the first time in India. It's one of the it's an attraction which is not there anywhere else. Me, my architect, my art director, we traveled the world to understand how things are done elsewhere, and then we were able to bring it to GRS. And then we have now installed the fastest slides in India. This is still not gone to the public. Generally, the public also doesn't, nobody knows about it because we've not done any marketing on it. So we've got a slide where you stand at the top, and from a height of about 4 floors high, about 40 feet, you come down to zero in about 2.5 seconds. I've got a pre-video of it, which I will kind of show you. And then we've got a Blizzard slide, which we have innovated and we have implemented for the first time. With that, we come. So I'll just share those videos with you. because these are some very exciting things that we've been doing. I don't know where. So it's called the rocket slides, of course, because it's one of the fastest slides. So this is how the view looks from the top of the building. And this is the actual slide. So we've got 3 slides. The video that I'm showing you is of one of the slides. After having done testing for a month, we were finally able to open that slide. So this is the video of that slide. So the video is just 13 seconds long because it just takes 2.5 seconds. So you stand on a platform and the platform opens under you. And you go from the top to the bottom in about 2.5 seconds. So let me play the video again because you might have missed it. Great. So I think so with that we come to the end of the presentation. As I told you, when there is confusion, it's good because it means that you're starting something new. At JRS, our end goal is to ensure that the customer leaves happy. So I believe that this pandemic is just a blip, and then things are going to start getting better. I can't wait for the day when I can welcome you all again to the park to have a great time and have a great time with your family and friends. So if you've got any questions, then I'm open for them. Thank you.
Hi, Ashwin. Before they ask their questions, I have a quick question for you. This was almost, I think, 3.5 years back that we interacted on the same platform in one of the colleges. And there was a very interesting statement that you said, and that has stayed with me till date. So I wanted you to share that statement with all of them and what you still think about it. So you said the entire talk was revolving around "Puchne mein kya jata hai?" And it has stayed with me ever since. And in fact, I should tell you, I haven't got the chance to tell you, but it was one of the striking ideas in my life to start a college at a young age. That was the entire crux that I have to ask people, and automatically things will fall. So some thoughts on that, and something just to refresh my memory.
So I always say one of the skill sets that as an entrepreneur that you have to learn is to become shameless, because we are full of shame all the time, and we've always been brought up in such a way that we don't like questioning things, right? So it's so much so that at one point the guy would have gotten a plate of idli and given it to me, and then the chutney would have gotten over, and then I'll be like, okay, should I ask him for more chutney? What if he says something? So that's when I came up with this thought process that "Puchne mein kya jata hai?" Because the idea is, now you want chutney, right? And you want chutney, but if you don't ask for it, for sure you will not get it. But if you ask for it, 50% chance that you might get that chutney. And in my opinion, more than 90% of the times people will comply, right? And so everything that I have told today, I'm sure that Sambhav will also exactly reflect whatever I'm saying right now. Right? So a lot of people say, oh, work hard, work smart, don't work hard, and all of this. I've really not understood it. Right? So I've listened to seminars where people have said, oh no, you work smart. And I would be like, okay, how do I work smart? How do I work smart? That's where one of these points come in. Right? So whenever you want something, just go out there and ask for it. 99% of the times people will comply. Other 10% when they don't comply, it's fine, right? So I think thanks, Sambhav. I mean, thanks for reminding me that as well. After one point, it becomes a part of you.
Correct.
Right? So after
Agreed.
one point, it becomes a part of you, and then there is value to that shamelessness. There is value to those people who kind of go out there and get what they want.
Agreed. Thank you for answering that. And before I hand it over back to them, thank you for being associated with Cresta. Throughout 3 years, every time we've asked you for help, you have done that unconditionally. And I don't know if I've thanked you enough for that. But please take gratitude and take all the love from me. Thank you so much, and I hope we will continue doing this together. Thank you.
Pleasure, Sambhav. It's lovely watching Cresta grow and you grow as well.
Thank you.
From the time when people didn't believe in Cresta to the time when people have really started believing in it, I have seen that journey. Right. So it's I don't think I have to wish you luck because trajectory is in the right direction. So that's nice to see. That's nice.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
We get back to the students. Sorry, took some time off them.
Thank you so much, Ashwin sir. We'll wait for students. Students, do you want to ask any questions? I guess how many of you have visited GRS Park? You can switch on your camera and microphone and you can ask the question.
Hello, sir. I have a question for him. Can I?
Yes, Tarun.
Okay. Hi, sir. I'd been to GRS recently to apply for the internship program. I think I speak for all of us when I say we had a ton of fun. So what I want to know is, especially when coming up with the rides for such a place like GRS, where you have to think about the whole family, what's the procedure involved in coming up with a new ride or a new attraction? For example, the petting zoo. Is it only the reason that new Bangalore kids don't have, like the newer generation doesn't have interactions with pets, or are there different factors involved?
It's not like we sit in a room one fine day and we're like, okay, what do we put up? That's not how it happens. Though it's a great question. So how it happens is it's a very organic process. So we've got a team called as the customer happiness team. So early on, when I realized that the entire reason why GRS exists is so that customers are happy, then I said, okay, are we measuring this? Are we understanding if actually customers are happy, or is this just a vanity metric? So I set up a customer happiness team whose entire goal is to identify if the customer is happy. If not, why? What can we do? What are the things that we have to do? So we've got people, and these are the best guys, right? The best guys in the team, sometimes managers, who have a chat with customers, who are constantly, like every evening we will have people talking to customers saying what is happening, what is not happening, what do you think we should be doing better, what do you think we should be doing differently. A lot of things that we've done has been based on that. Now in the case of the petting zoo, this is something that it was a very low hanging fruit, right? So I have a garden team who know how to take care of animals. Inherently, these guys have taken care of goats and sheep and hens and cows elsewhere, right? So they've been doing it. Now that they are employed, they are not doing it, but that skill set is there. Now it's a very easy. It was not possible until that idea came into mind. One of the brainstorming sessions, the team came up with this idea saying, okay, why don't we do something like this? It had to kind of mature for a long period of time. It didn't happen immediately. It had to mature for some time. Then the right place came into picture, the right kind of people came into picture, the right places, because having a ride is different, having animals is different. Animals, you have to take care of them, right? And so once we got the goats, it became my KRA to check if they are being fed, they are being taken care of, because I said once they are inside the compound, then at the end of the day I am also going to be responsible for it. So even to this day, even though there is a lockdown, we've got 2 people from the garden team who go to the park, take care of them, see if they're all right. We've got a proper schedule in place to ensure that they are fine. And I still get pictures every day on my WhatsApp saying how they are. I might not get of much larger things, but of the goats, I get pictures if they are fed or not. So that's how it happens. Now, in the case of the slide, so generally these are very expensive things to set up. Like large rides are expensive to set up. It's not like every year you can come up with it. So you come up with it once in 3 years. So for this, it was a ritual of mine to kind of visit a lot of parks all over India and all over the world constantly to see what other people are doing. Then there are a lot of other manufacturers that whom we worked with for a very long time now. So one of the slides now, which is still not opened, which is in testing phase, is called the Blizzard slide. We've been doing testing for the last 3-4 months now. It's going to be a fantastic and a huge slide. One of the pictures was of that. So that's something that I have been talking. I've been thinking about this for a long time now, and then finally, nerve-wrackingly, we took it into production. We've installed it. There has been some problems, but those will get rectified. If not for this pandemic, then probably we would have been open with that as well. But yeah, it's a lot of thinking and a lot of constantly working on it. That's when things happen.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
We have next question from Preetham Patil. So Preetham, can you unmute yourself?
Hello, sir.
Hi, Preetham.
Sir, I wanted to know that, how do you suggest to handle competition?
Competition is always good. So we had initially opened up. Then I think in about 2004, so 1999 we had opened up. 2004, 2006 something, Wonderla came in, right? And Wonderla was a park which had previous experience of having run another park. So when they opened another park, the direction in which they took it was they started looking at high-end, very expensive dry rides. That's when we kind of started relooking at what it is that we were doing. Though the first year post Wonderla opening, we had a dip. Post that, we've constantly had increase in numbers of entry. So what we started doing was we started tapping into people from in and around Mysore. We started tapping into North Karnataka. Incidentally, 3 years ago, North Karnataka overnight bus or train or something started. So that was a great initiative for us. So and then even South Canara, meaning Mangalore, Udupi, that side we've got a very strong presence. So competition is always good. I mean, this is an insider secret, but every year I send my entire team to Wonderla to go and enjoy. I tell them saying, don't study anything, just go there and enjoy and come. If Sambhav could send all of you guys to another college, probably he would, but this might not be possible. But that's something that I do because I'm not saying that you go learn, copy something from there and implement it here. I'm not telling that. I'm just saying you guys go and have fun because I know that there will be a lot of learning in it, and then you really understand what you mean by competition. And we are, we are in a good position that we've got such a good competition, right? It might be Wonderla, or it might be people closer to home. I know all of them, and generally, at least it's not affected us that badly. So that's why I look at competition as being good. Thanks, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have one more question from Aarti Mehta.
Hello, sir. So my question was, as you spoke about changes, you spoke that how you have started building on the GRS. I mean, you started Snow World, you started the petting thing. Could this be started? I mean, now people, they usually urinate in pools, they pee in pools. So in India, as far as I know, there are no parks where the color would change as in abroad. So could that change be a part of GRS?
Possible. No, but the logistics of it, you look at it. I'm not being emotional right now. I'm not defending the position of any park. Let me put it out there, but I'll just purely talk science,
Yes, sir.
right? I'm purely talking science. Okay. So we've got, take the example of any wave pool in India. So the wave pool has got 10 lakh liters of water in it, right? So 10 lakh liters of water is a lot of water. Now, let us say, just for the sake of argument, somebody urinates, right? So that is, let's say he urinates 1 liter, just for the sake of argument. I'm just getting down into detail. So that's 1 is to 10 lakhs. Now, 1 is to 10 lakhs, even in a glass of water, if you've got, so we say parts per million, right? So if you've got urea of 1 is to 10 lakhs, then I don't think that is I mean, I'm not justifying, but scientifically it will not matter, right? And the second point is, a lot of people think that having chlorine in the pool is bad, but chlorine is a disinfectant, right? So we maintain chlorine, the standards say that we have to maintain a chlorine of 3 parts per million, 1 part per million to 3 parts per million. So anything that comes in touch with the water, so urine is a small part of it, but then you've got contaminants which are there on the clothes. There are contaminants in people's hair, contaminants, you've got dead skin cells. Maybe you've not washed your hands properly. A lot of these things come in touch with the water. So then the question is, how do you ensure that the water is safe for the next person who goes in, or the person besides him? So pool water always has, at least in larger amusement parks, pool water always has disinfectants like chlorine. So now what this chlorine does is there will be free chlorine, Cl, Cl minus will be there. So whenever any organic matter comes in touch, then it automatically oxidizes it and makes it harmless, right? So that is the reason why, and this thing that you said where foreign countries have got pools where color changes, it is not the truth. That's a WhatsApp forward, right? That's not the truth. And it doesn't happen like that. I've been to a lot of pools in a lot of countries, and nowhere is the case. But there is a technology which works. So the right way to tackle this question. See, now the problem that you have is correct. The problem is, I don't want people to pee in the pool, right? So the right solution for that is to be able to educate the customers properly. So what we do is, we've got people at the ticket. So now we start with implementation of costumes. Previously at the park, you used to have people who used to go in every dress like salwar kameez, sari, everybody gets into the pool. And for the longest of times, everybody told me saying, no, it's not possible. Indians will not wear swimwear. Indians will not wear it. I said, no, let's do it. Let's chip away at the problem. I always say, change is messy in the beginning, tough in the middle, and gorgeous at the end. That's what Robin Sharma says, and I copy him. Right? So, and that's truth with everything. Change is messy in the beginning, and so we said we'll implement clothes. And while we did that, we started talking about hygiene as well. We started saying, take a bath before you get into the pool. Take a shower before you get, not a bath. Take a shower before you get into the pool. So we started implementing this. We told it when the guy came inside the park at the security. If anybody is visited in the last 6 months, then they would have seen it. Anybody entering the water park, so they would have told it at the security, saying, "Sir, costumes are compulsory. You have to maintain hygiene." Then when they came to the estimation counter where they check height, they told. Again at the ticket counter, they told. While entering inside at guidance, they told. Outside the pool, lifeguards told, saying, "Sir, you have to wear." We never forced anybody. We just kept telling, saying, "Sir, you have to wear, you have to wear, you have to wear." Right? And so the more and more, so the only way out of a lot of these problems is education.
Yes, sir.
Right? And let's say I have 5,000 people at the park and one person in the pool urinates. Then what do I do with 4,999 people who want water? Right? So you can't empty your pool and refill it, but that technology is not there. What you're talking about, that technology is not there. The way to deal with it is through the right disinfection, and to ensure that none of it is harmful to anybody else, and through the right kind of education. These are the two ways of handling this problem. That color changing thing, if you find something viable, then we can. I mean, I'm always open to any kind of discussion.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for the long drawn answer, but these are all very controversial questions. Being in the pool, competition,
Yeah.
all controversial questions people are asking, but I love it. I love it. Very nice questions.
Yeah. So we have got 2 questions from the professors. So
please.
with your permission, I want to allow them to ask.
Yes, most welcome.
So Professor Nanda Kishore, he's our professor for English. So he wants to ask you a question.
Yes, please.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Sir, I have a couple of questions. First question would be, how do you handle failures? Because we are stuck in pandemic, and you told you have already switched off, snowpark sort of a machine. And second thing would be, have you ever come up a second thought in your mind since you are in a great loss right now?
I don't know if Sambhav is like coached or whoever has coached you guys, but very tough questions everybody asks. Now about failure, snowpark being switched off is not a failure, right? Snowpark being switched off is a business decision so that we save money. Every week that we are open, for every week we spend electricity of some 3 lakh rupees or 4 lakh rupees on the snowpark, right? So that's a business decision. And we understand that at this time you have to cut costs so that the switching off of the snowpark is on an optimistic note. It's on a note that conserve resources so that when the time gets better, you will be able to open up. So that's not a negative decision. That's a positive decision in my mind. Now, when it comes to the question of do you second guess constantly, right? I am doubting myself constantly. I am second guessing constantly, and I think it keeps me on my toes. And now, when you tell me this, it kind of hurts here inside, right? And I am constantly doing it. I don't think there are many entrepreneurs out there who say, "No, I knew that it will succeed." Every step of the way, you're like, "Oh, what if this doesn't work? What if this doesn't happen? What if customers don't turn up? So you start off with a lot of assumptions, right? And you break one assumption at a time. So what if my assumptions are wrong? What if people don't turn up? What if this pandemic never gets over? How do I pay salaries? How do I do this? So that's a constant worry. But then because of that worry, you start kind of thinking that confusion happens. And because of that confusion, you try and grow out of it and you try and become better in what you're trying to do. Now, this is a once in a lifetime, once in 100 years kind of a thing. Now, I don't know. I don't think anybody has a solution to this problem. The best is that all of us get vaccinated, all of us maintain social distance. I don't think any of my staff has seen my face in the last 1.5 years because religiously I've worn my mask so that I become an example for the rest of the organization. Even when everywhere else things are relaxed, I had the SP police come and I said it's probably safer inside the park than outside, right? Because we had so much protocol in place. Everybody was wearing a mask. Everybody was being careful. So yeah, these are all setbacks. I think we will all get back to being normal. I hope that the next time around we'll all be face to face, maybe in a year's time, and things will be better. But yeah, failures are always tough. Failures are hard and painful. It's like a breakup, no? So you go through all of that. When you have a girlfriend and you break up with her, then you go through, oh, am I wrong? Oh, is she wrong? Oh, did I do a mistake? Oh, should I go back to her? So you go through those, that cycle of grief you go through with everything, but then you kind of live through it. But yeah, it's not a simple question. But yeah, switching off the snowpark is not negative. Thank you so much.
Well, I wish you good luck, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I welcome you to the park once we open.
So